So we're going to give you a little bit of inside radio here tonight, a little peek behind the curtain of the business to explain to you how not to treat your customers. And what we're going to share with you is a series of emails, one particular email of interest, but a couple of different emails flew back and forth between the program director of WSPD. And by the way, welcome to listeners of WSPD. You guys have been listening to Free Talk Live now for a few years on Saturday nights, and we're proud to announce that WSPD, which is a fairly popular Clear Channel talk radio station in Toledo, Ohio, is now taking Free Talk Live weeknights. So we're on WSPD. The program director there, Brian Wilson, he hosts the Afternoon Drive show. And if you've ever read LewRockwell.com, you've probably seen Brian's articles, because not only is he a talk show host, but he is an author over at LewRockwell.com. He knows Lew Rockwell personally, knows Ron Paul, Tom Woods. And it's his personal interactions with those folks is kind of what set this ball in motion that we're going to tell you about. Because Brian Wilson, being a Lew Rockwell blogger, someone who knows these guys, is obviously a liberty-minded dude. And so...
hangs in the circles.
Yeah, exactly. And so in the evening hours over at WSPD in Toledo, late nights, like 10 to midnight, which is when we're currently on, he was airing a show called Mark Levin. Now, we've talked about Mark Levin in the past on this program. He's one of our competitors. Mark Levin is live basically the same hours that we are. I think he's live like 6 to 9.
I think that's
live
right,
7 to 10. And so this guy has kind of made a career in talk radio basically off the back of Sean Hannity. And what I mean by that is in the business, they have what they call a cram down. So, for instance, if Free Talk Live were to be the kind of company or whatever, we're not really a company, it's just you and I, Mark.
Right.
But if we were to be like this mega corporation that had, let's say LRN.FM was a major mega corporation, and Anti-War Radio was one of the other shows on there. And Free Talk Live is the most popular show on LRN.FM. So let's say we were going to bring a new radio station on, and we told this radio station, we'll let you have Free Talk Live. You can have the most popular show on the network, but you've got to take this other guy over here, Anti-War Radio. Or in this case, it's Sean Hannity. And by the way, Anti-War Radio is a great show. I'm not trying to say anything bad about them. This
is what a cram down is.
Yes, it's basically where you don't get the best show.
You want the number 2 show in the nation, Sean Hannity. Then you're going to have to take this other show, which they then consequently have made one of the top 10 shows in America, simply by cramming it down people's throats.
Mark Levin did not get to where he is because of the quality of his programming.
But that's not to say that he couldn't. It's just to say that he didn't.
I don't know. I've heard his show here and there a little bit, and I personally can't stand the guy.
Well,
his voice is...
it's all about taste.
His voice is irritating to listen to, and he's also a shrill, screaming, foaming at the mouth, standard run-of-the-mill conservative talker. So their contract had expired. And the affiliate relations guy, I don't know why they didn't do it before the contract expired, but the affiliate relations, I guess they're big mega corporations, so they're just dropping the ball left and right. The bigger the company, the more bureaucratic it becomes. And so their affiliate relations guy had emailed the program director, Brian in this case, and let's get let's extend the contract or whatever, going through the motions just to try to kind of get it going again, because he'd been on for several years. And Brian wrote back as follows. He says, "You will notice there is no agreement made or mentioned. In fact, in response to Mark Levin's outrageous diatribes, mis- and disinformation slanderously leveled at Ron Paul, Tom Woods, Lew Rockwell, personal and professional friends of mine, I will be exploring other programming options," that's Free Talk Live, "effective immediately. You are welcome to share with Mark my early admiration for his focus on constitutional principles, their absence from," so he's complimenting him, "their absence from most of what passes for governance, and how that compelled me to add his show to the WSPD lineup originally. You may also share that while I heartily endorse live on-air debate and discussions on virtually any subject, the verbal and written abuse that he heaped on these constitutional scholars who individually have done more throughout their careers to advance liberty and freedom than Mark ever will with his scorched earth, egomaniacal diatribes is not good radio programming or content on my station. Complaints from my listeners would tend to support that. I've been in this business 47 years on great radio stations like WABC, WMAL. He lists some more. I've even
got his pedigree.
Yep. I've even owned my own station. Despite being confined to Toledo, I know more than tiny market about radio and how it works. Despite his difficult voice quality, about which we spoke prior to him signing to WSPD, I admired his writing and his efforts on behalf of liberty. Now it appears he has been overserved Rush Limbaugh's iced tea / Kool-Aid, and like Rush, thinks way more of himself than can be objectively sustained. If Mark ever gets a grip on his rational self or develops the class and courtesy to apologize to the three gentlemen mentioned above, I'll give him another listen. So that was Brian's goodbye notice to the network, letting them know that he was not going to be renewing the agreement for Mark Levin, and he would be going in a different direction, which thankfully is Free Talk Live. So they blew him out the door, and the program director, Brian Wilson, who's also a blogger over at Lew Rockwell, basically said, "Hey, I don't appreciate the libel that you've directed towards Ron Paul." I mean, basically saying that you've been lying. I mean, you've been lying about Ron Paul on the air, and maybe if you were to be willing to apologize to Ron and Lew Rockwell and these other guys, that he'd reconsider having him on his station. But the contract's run out, so it will not be being renewed. Goodbye, essentially, was the email. And if you want the details, you can listen to the archive later, because I just read it in the last segment. But then, apparently, the affiliate relations guy forwarded Brian's email to Mark Levin, the show host, who was blown off the air, and Mark writes back the following screed. "Dear Brian, I don't think I have ever read a more unprofessional note from any program director. If you did not want to extend the show, you could have just canceled it."
Sometimes when you get upset, you tend to fly through and not double check your email.
This, by the way, right from Mark Levin's email address here. "The fact that you are using your position as a program director and a host on a Clear Channel station to front for the Ron Paul campaign and his friends is a disgrace." So the suggestion there.
Why is it a disgrace to front for Ron Paul on a Clear Channel station, but not a disgrace to front for any of these other people that are running?
"As you are undoubtedly aware," continues Levin, he says, "Lew Rockwell was the editor of the Ron Paul letter," which is not true. If I'm not mistaken, didn't you reveal who the real guy was behind that?
Well, not the author. I think the Lew Rockwell was, had some editor title. Yeah.
Oh, so Lew Rockwell was involved? I had heard that Lew Rockwell wasn't involved.
Maybe at the time. That is something that I have heard. I can't. If you've heard something to the contrary, that's just what I've heard.
Okay.
I haven't dug down in this. He is not the author of the one thing that people can say about Ron Paul, which is, let's complain about something he didn't write. But was in some way attached to
racist and anti-Semitic diatribes. His website is full of hateful and vile attacks against me and my religion. Now, I don't know what his religion is. Do you?
Levin sounds. Yeah. I'm gonna guess he's Jewish, but then again, I'm ethnically Jewish myself. I've never heard his website say anything.
Rockwell?
Yeah.
In fact, he's such an extremist that he has written about and posted Excuse me, this is bad, just another unclear sentence. He has written about and posted piece attacking Ronald Reagan, William Buckley, Clarence Thomas, Antonin Scalia, Thomas Sowell, and on and on. But all of this,
these Republicans deviated from the small government standpoint, and they're going to get scolded for that.
But you know all of this, don't you, Brian? After all, Rockwell is a friend, as you say. I could go on, but the fact is, you know all about these folks. But when I and my religion are attacked by these people, I respond. Maybe he means by his religion, he means like the religion of the state. I don't know. I also don't appreciate you lecturing me about what I have done in my career over the last 40 years for the cause of liberty, whether serving Reagan, litigating against Obama policies in the Supreme Court, writing best-selling books on liberty and conservatism, and of course my radio program. Your personal
But just because you write liberty on the front of your book doesn't mean that it's about liberty.
Right. Your personal attacks about my career and my voice are outrageous. I also think your attack on Rush, who helps pay your salary and is the anchor of your company by belittling his work and audience, is mind-boggling. Perhaps you should consider leaving your job as program director and host in Toledo and joining the Paul campaign full-time rather than abusing your positions as you are. I have been on WSPD since September of 2006. Interesting that only now, during this phase of the Paul campaign, I don't meet your standards. Well, your contract expired, dude. I have asked Darian, my affiliate relations manager, to send you a cancellation notice given what you have written. But the show was already canceled because his agreement had expired. More coming up. So I don't know what Mark Levin was thinking, but I don't know if he was thinking at all when he got the email from his affiliate relations department informing him that WSPD would be canceling his show or was no longer renewing his program and replacing it with Free Talk Live. But he apparently hit the reply button and shot off a very angry screed towards the program director in this particular case.
This is frankly good advice to anybody out there when it comes to customer service and writing an email when you're upset.
So Wilson writes back, and by the way, Mark Levin was carbon copying like the senior vice president of Clear Channel on this to try to take it up the chain. We'll show Brian Wilson. I will show him. I will contact the higher ups. Apparently, Brian still has his job, so nothing has happened as a result of that. But dear Mr. Levin, writes back Brian, who again is also the afternoon talk show host at WSPD. Thanks for taking.
Both of them have started off their letters with "dear," and you'd think that the tone of these, you wouldn't put "dear."
Thanks for taking the time to write. Your missive confirms all my original misgivings about you, and then some. I'm only surprised you didn't type in all caps to better convey your kindergarten temper fit. If I didn't want to attempt the show, wow, were you typing with both fists? Because he made a spelling error in his original email. FYI,
scalding.
Counselor, your contract had already... He was pretty nice in his original rejection email. He complimented him in a number of different ways.
Told him why.
During the rejection. Now, you're right. Now it's time for scalding. FYI, Counselor, your contract had already expired, so you won't be needing to send that cancellation notice. As with your mis- and uninformed diatribes, due diligence is as absent as your intellectual courage to respond to your spurious comments about Tom Woods and the War Powers Act. Or have you rewritten the Constitution recently? As to your continuing efforts to libel Lew Rockwell, maybe you could become pen pals with LRC contributor David Gordon. I'll leave it up to you. I'll leave it up to your crack research team to determine Mr. Gordon's religious convictions. Again, his Levin's original attack suggested that Lew Rockwell was anti his religion, that his site is full of hatred towards his religion. And I think Brian is suggesting here that one of Lew Rockwell's contributors is a Jewish person. If that's the religion we're talking about here, I think it makes it clear here. Hateful attacks on me and my religion. Again, he's quoting Levin there. Seriously, says Brian, as a renowned practitioner of law, please cite specifics. How about a link or two? Meanwhile, would you care to read Lew's glowing articles on Murray Rothbard? Probably not. They would surgically remove the "un" from your uninformed.
Yeah, how about Friedrich Hayek?
Yeah.
I mean,
if extremist Lew Rockwell posted a piece attacking Tom Sowell, how do you explain Dr. Sowell's article archives at LewRockwell.com? And then he links to all the articles written by Thomas Sowell at LewRockwell.com. I know the answer. You wouldn't. Instead, you would treat us as a typical Levin soprano concerto, packed with flaccid repartee and void of fact. No worries. Everyone here knows nothing.
Soprano concerto? Is that a rip on the voice?
Yes. No worries. Everyone here knows nothing deters the Great One, and he spells great, Grate. Again, Brian Wilson will continue his response. He calls him the Great One, except spelling great, Grate. I think another reference to his voice and his vitriol. He says, no worries, everyone here knows nothing deters the Great One, which is sad knowing how desperate the Republic is for common sense, constitutional fealty, and reasoned response. Congratulations on your part in nurturing the collective ignorance via megalomania. Yes, when not mercifully preempted by sporting events, you have been on my station since 2006, failing to produce even a modicum of the ratings produced by a former county commissioner who had no prior radio experience either, but a sharp eye for liberty and freedom and a respectful ear for the opinion of callers who disagreed with her. Sadly, I never got the same performance from you. Rather than improve with age and experience, you became spoiled and rancid, unfortunately following the role model of others who started out exciting, compelling, and entertaining, only to swoon at the sound of their own voice or naked body. Blinded by the... I don't get that joke.
Well, Rush Limbaugh says to himself, I know these Democrats like I know every inch of my glorious naked body.
Oh, jeez.
He's...
With one hand tied behind my back.
That is shtick, right? Like, that is hyperbolic shtick. So, I mean...
It's just ego.
He might be egotistical. I'm not saying that he's not. I couldn't say. I haven't had any time to really know the man. I've, spoken to him briefly, but not enough to know the guy. But that is clearly hyperbolic shtick.
Blinded by the glare of their paychecks and taking the hysterical blathering of myrmidons as inspired hosannas. He says, along with them, you succumbed to the delusion of adequacy. It's true. You have your radio program, which he puts in quotes, about as successful as your litigation in the Supreme Court. also in quotes. But when your response to an objective programming decision based on vile, prejudice, uninformed content combined with 5 years of poor ratings performance is met with adolescent ad hominems, distortions, and incoherent scribblings, your screed has the intellectual depth of a damp sponge. As an obscure philosopher once wrote, quote, beware the lollipop of mediocrity. Lick it once, and you'll suck forever. Suck on, Mark. Suck on. And I say that with all due respect. From Brian Wilson.
Wow.
Oh, my. So there you have it. That's why Mark Levin is no longer on WSPD Weeknight.